Welcome to We Talk English. I'm Kashish. Do you want to speak with an American English accent? Let's talk about it. Have you ever wanted to sound just like Tom Cruise or Ellen DeGeneres? Well, the only thing that I have in common with Tom Cruise and Ellen DeGeneres is that we speak with a standard American accent. Today, you're going to learn what makes the standard American accent different from other English accents and how you can start to speak like an American yourself. To help you never forget what you're going to learn today, in today's lesson, you'll see 3 of my most popular American English videos that I made many years ago, but they are revived for you today. The first part will be an American English speaking practice, where you can practice pronunciation and speaking out loud like an American. The final part of this lesson will be some bonus idioms that only Americans use, and you can too. All right, let's get started. Have you ever been watching an American movie and thought, oh, it would be great if I could sound like Tom Cruise? Or maybe you've watched one of my videos already and thought, I would love to sound like Kashish. Well, today I'm going to give you some tips to help you make your pronunciation sound more like an American. And by American, I mean the United States of America. There are a couple of things that we need to talk about first, though. What in the world is an American accent? Because a lot of people in the US have different styles of speaking. Here, I'm going to explain how to sound like the most general American accent, which is that of news reporters or Hollywood. When you think about Tom Cruise, this is the accent that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a New York accent, a Southern accent, or a California accent. I'm talking about standard American English. Of course, if you want to sound more American, you need to use American expressions instead of British or Australian expressions. So if you would like to know some differences between these expressions, make sure you check out the playlist that I'll link here and in the description. Finally, the best way to improve your pronunciation to sound more American, or if you want to sound more British or Australian, is to shadow. This means you're imitating word for word everything that person is saying. You're repeating directly after the speaker. I have a couple of videos where I explain the shadowing technique, so be sure to click there or in the description to check out those videos. But it's also great to break down the sounds of a language, and that's what I'm going to do today. Talk about 4 important concepts that you need to include in your speaking if you want to sound more American. Are you ready? The first way that you can sound more American is to change your T sounds to D sounds when they're between 2 vowels. Let's listen to a sentence that uses a lot of these. Ariel in New York City. He wore an exciting sweater because that always made him satisfied. Here we have a T between 2 vowel sounds, and it's changing to a D. It's not a T sound, it is a D. This also happens between words. So you heard that always. This isn't always done, but it's often done when native speakers are talking quickly. We link together words by making the final T change into a D. A couple of years ago, I had a British friend who I always teased because whenever I asked him to speak in an American accent, the only thing he would say is, water bottle, water bottle, water bottle, again and again. It was so funny because it really is the perfect example of an American accent. It uses the T changing to a D, water bottle. And it also uses one more concept that we're going to talk about a little bit later in this video. Now, I want to give you a chance to practice this pronunciation T changing to a D. We're going to listen to that clip one more time of that sample sentence, and then there's going to be a pause. I want you to read that sentence and try to imitate. Try to shadow that pronunciation. Are you ready to use your speaking muscles? Let's do it. Ariel in New York City, he wore an exciting sweater because that always made him satisfied. The second way to sound more American when you speak is to use the colored R. What in the world is that? Well, it's in the middle of the word when there is an R plus a consonant. A consonant is any letter that's not A, E, I, O, U. So it might be R, S, R, D. Any word that has an R plus a consonant is going to sound like IR. Let's listen to a sample sentence that uses this a lot. Ariel, the first word that you learned is the one you heard the most. Did you notice something in this sentence? There are a lot of different vowel sounds that change to sound like one sound in the word first. There is an I in the word word, there is an O in the word heard, and there's EA, but they all sound like air. This is the colored R, and it's really typical in American English. ER heard. Let's listen to that clip again. And the same as before, I want you to try to imitate and shadow that pronunciation style. Test your pronunciation muscles. Try to sound like an angry dog. My first word learned. It sounds a little crazy when you're practicing, but of course, when you're speaking with other people, you can tone it down. But it's good to exaggerate when you're practicing pronunciation because you're getting your muscles prepared. So when you're practicing, don't worry about exaggerating. The first word that I learned, take it easy, try it yourself, and let's listen and pause. It's your turn to speak. Ariel, the first word that you learned is the one you heard the most. My next tip for sounding American is to include an E at the end of your words. ER. This is really typical in American English. So before I explain it any further, let's listen to a sentence that includes this a couple of times. Ariel, in the letter he wrote, remember to water the flowers. When my British friend was saying water bottle, this was the second American sound that he was using, the E at the end of the word ER, water. Don't forget to water the flowers. Remember to water the flowers, and this is going to really test your R pronunciation. All right, let's listen to that clip one more time, and then we're going to pause, and I want you to say it out loud. Ariel, in the letter he wrote, remember to water the flowers. My fourth and final tip is a specific contrast with British English. It is the ending ARY. Again, we're talking about R because R is essential in English and in a lot of different languages. Often I think the R is the most challenging sound in other languages because it's so integral. In this case, an ARY at the end of words is going to indicate that in American English, we're going to pronounce the full word library, secretary, military. Do you hear that ending? ARY. We're going to say the full word. Let's listen to a quick sentence that uses a couple of these examples. Ariel, at the library, the secretary read a book about the military. In American English, you're going to pronounce each of the final letters. ARY. Military. In British English, they often cut out the A, so instead of military, it would be military. That A is just gone, but in American English, each of those letters are pronounced military. Let's listen to this clip one more time, and then I want to pause and let you have a chance to repeat the sentence yourself. Ariel, at the library, the secretary read a book about the military. So, how did you do with these American English pronunciation sentences? Did you challenge your pronunciation? Do you think that you can sound more American after watching this video? I hope that these tips are useful to you, and let me know in the comments below. Are there any other words that you can use to sound more American using these 4 tips? Let me know, and I hope that you enjoyed this lesson. I'll see you next time. Have you ever wondered, is the American accent really different from the British accent? The answer is, oh yes, definitely. Last year, I made this video that has now over 1.5 million views. It's called 4 Secrets to the American English Accent, and in this video, we talked about the 4 essential elements of the American English accent. But today, I think it's time to go beyond those basics and dig a little deeper. Are you ready? We're going to be practicing 4 more secrets to the American English accent, and after each section, I want you to try to imitate and shadow exactly with my voice. That means that you need to practice, and it's a great way to improve your pronunciation. The first secret to an American English accent is the stopped T. This is super common. It's when there is a T at the end of a word, but we don't exactly say it. Let me give you a quick example. How about the word right? Did you hear right? Nope. Instead, when I said that, my tongue was stopped at the top of my mouth. That's why we call it a stopped T. Right. Let's look at a sample sentence. I thought he wouldn't appreciate the plant. There are a lot of words here that end in T or have a T close to the end. Listen carefully again. Do you hear any of those T's? I thought he wouldn't appreciate the plant. For each of those T's, my tongue is stopped at the top of my mouth. Let's look at another sample sentence. I bought some meat and took it outside. Almost each of these words that end in T have a stopped T. Let's listen one more time. I bought some meat and took it outside. The word outside has a T in the middle, but because this word is kind of 2 words put together, we're going to have a stop there in the middle. This is a little bit of an exception. All right, let's go back to that original sentence, and I want you to try to say it out loud with me. Now that you've heard a lot of different examples, I want you to speak out loud. Are you ready? I thought he wouldn't appreciate the plant. Is your tongue stopped at the top of your mouth? I hope so. I thought he wouldn't appreciate the plant. You know what? I'm going to pause, and I want you to say the sentence all by yourself. No matter where you are, I'll be listening, so make sure you speak out loud. Go ahead. Great work. All right, let's go on to the second secret of having an American English accent. Number 2 is the glottal T. We're talking about the letter T again. I've gotten a lot of comments about how to pronounce the word sentence. Sentence or sentence? Ooh, I say sentence. And I've gotten so many comments of people saying, Kashish, why do you pronounce it like that? Well, this is a lovely concept called the glottal T. Glottal is kind of a scientific term for something in your throat. I don't think I can scientifically explain it, but listen to these words and see if you can hear my throat stopping the T in the middle of the word. Listen carefully. The winner of the International Winter Olympics has gotten an important award on the internet. There are a lot of T's in the middle of words. Let's break down the sentence a little bit. There are two different ways to have the glottal T. The first one is with an NT. So, for example, the words international, winter, internet, sentence. In these words, the T is just gone. So you're going to hear native speakers, when we're speaking quickly, completely cut out that T. Sentence, winter, international, internet. The other way to use the glottal T is with words that have a T in the middle. Not necessarily an NT, but have a T in the middle. Sometimes it's a double T, sometimes it's not. For example, the words button, gotten, eaten, important. Do you notice that my throat is stopping that T sound in the middle of the word? Listen again. Button, eaten, gotten, important. Here, my throat is doing some important work to make that glottal T sound exactly the way it should. Before we practice that sample sentence again, I want to share what I found when I was doing a little research about where this glottal T came from. I found on Wikipedia that it was first mentioned in Scotland in the 1800s, and a dialect worker who was doing some research about different dialects said it's considered a lazy habit and may have been in the dialect for hundreds of years. So it's possible that Americans got this glottal T from Scotland. Possibly. But in any case, it is kind of considered a lazy habit, but Americans have picked up a lot of that in our natural way of speaking. Okay, let's go back to that sample sentence, and I'm going to say it a couple of times. Please say it with me because I'm going to pause, and you're going to have to say it all by yourself. Let's practice together. The winner of the International Winter Olympics has gotten an important award on the internet. Let's say it one more time. The winner of the International Winter Olympics has gotten an important award on the internet. Okay, I'm going to pause, and I want you to try to say this glottal T all by yourself. Go ahead. Great work. All right. Let's go on to the third secret of having an American English accent. Number 3 is contractions with will. There are two ways to pronounce contractions with will. There is a clear way, and then there's a relaxed way. Let's look at a quick example. Let's take the words, you will. If we want to make a contraction with this, we could say, YOU''LL. How can we pronounce this? Well, you could say it in a clear way, you'll. Do you hear the full word? You. Yeah, I'm saying you and then L, just the L at the end. But what if we want to say this in a relaxed, maybe lazy way? Well, instead you can say, you'll. You're only saying kind of like yull. Let's look at another example. This is kind of a crazy sentence, but it uses this concept a lot. First, I'm going to say it in the clear way, and then we're going to say it in the relaxed way. He'll go if you'll go, and they'll go if we'll go. In each of these contractions, you heard that full pronoun. He, you, they, we. But let's look at it when it's relaxed. And this is going to help you sound a little bit more natural like an American English speaker. He'll go if you'll go, and they'll go if we'll go. In all of these, there's an L sound. He'll go if you'll go, and they'll go if we'll go. I didn't say we'll go, I just said the first letter, W. Let's go through each of the contractions that use will so that you can hear this in a natural way and in a sentence. You'll get the car, He'll get the car. She'll get the car. We'll get the car. They'll get the car. Let's say that sample sentence one more time together. I want you to speak out loud, and then you'll have a chance to say it by yourself. He'll go if we'll go, and they'll go if you'll go. He'll go if we'll go, and they'll go if you'll go. It's your turn to say it by yourself. Go ahead. Excellent work. Let's go on to the fourth and final secret of having an American English accent. Number 4 is linking the S plus a vowel. Listen to this sentence. How's it going? What about this sentence? There are cars in the sun. Both of these sentences have an S followed by a vowel. What happens here? In each of these words, the S becomes a Z sound. How's it going? There are cars in the sun. Common phrases that we use this with are, how's it going, and there are cars in the sun. That's probably the most common way you're going to see this. Let's take a look at a couple of sentences. He's in the office. She's in the theatre. When he complains, it gets on my nerves. Do you see how linking helps you speak a little more quickly? When you link it together with a Z sound, it sounds so natural. For example, don't go to the cliffs. It's too perilous. If we pause here, you could just say an S. Don't go to the cliffs. It's too perilous. But if you say this quickly, you link it together with a Z sound. Don't go to the cliffs. It's too perilous. Let's say those two original sentences together. Please say them with me. Use those pronunciation muscles. Then I'm going to pause so that you can have a chance to say it all by yourself. How's it going? How's it going? There are cars in the sun. There are cars in the sun. Now it's your turn. Say it all by yourself. You got this. Great work. That was a lot of pronunciation practice. But before we go, let's do a quick review. If you'd like to say these sentences out loud with me, please do. That's the best way to improve your pronunciation and remember these concepts. I thought he wouldn't appreciate the plant. The winner of the International Winter Olympics has gotten an important award. On the internet, he'll go if we'll go, and they'll go if you'll go. How's it going? There are cars in the sun. Now, I have a question for you. What is something that's really important to you? I want you to use the word important in your response. In the middle, we have the syllable import, and at the end, we have a stopped T sound, important. There's no T that we actually speak at the end. If you can say your sample sentence out loud, that will be beautiful practice. You can read each other's sentences to see what kinds of things are important to people all around the world. You might be wondering, what in the world is an American idiom? These idioms might be understood by people in the UK, but they're most often used by Americans. If you said one of these to someone from the US, they would instantly understand what you meant and wouldn't feel weird at all. For our first idiom, I want to tell you a quick story about last week. One of my friends, who has a small baby, called me in the morning when we were about to get together. She said, "Hey, Kashish, I'm sorry. I've got to take a rain check because my baby is not feeling too well. I want to just relax at home and maybe we can get together next week." What do you think the idiom "take a rain check" means? In this context, we needed to change our plans because her baby wasn't feeling well. That's exactly what this idiom means. Change your plans. We need to delay or push back our plans because something happened. The second American idiom is to shoot the breeze. Let me tell you a quick story. In a couple of days, I'm getting together with a childhood friend I haven't seen for a while. When I told my husband that I was going to see her, he asked, "What are you going to do? You haven't seen her for a long time." I said, "I don't know, shoot the breeze. Just sit together and figure something out." What do you think shoot the breeze means? It means to chit-chat, just to talk about daily life. Nothing too deep or important, just to chat. The third American idiom is to plead the fifth. Let me give you a quick story. Imagine your friend comes over and says, "Oh man, I just went on a date with Sarah yesterday. It was so great." Then you ask, "Did you kiss her?" And he might say, "I plead the fifth." Why does he say this? The word plead means to beg, and the fifth refers to the Fifth Amendment of the US Constitution, which says you don't have to say anything that could incriminate you. In daily life, we often use this when we don't want to answer a question. The fourth American idiom is to give props to someone. Let's imagine you want to study abroad in the US and apply to Harvard. You try to get in, but you don't make it. Your friend asks, "How did it go? Did you make it into Harvard?" You might say, "No, I didn't make it." They would say, "Well, I give you props for trying." This expression means proper respect. Even if you didn't succeed, you still deserve respect for trying. You can even give yourself props. For example, if you see a lost traveler in your city and you try to speak English with them, you could say, "I give myself props for trying." Now it's your turn. Have you ever needed to plead the fifth? Did you ever need to take a rain check? Or maybe give props to someone? Who do you like to shoot the breeze with? Let me know in the comments below. Try to use these expressions and expand your vocabulary.